That was the easiest round of applause I've ever been given. I should walk across stages more often. Well, good evening. Welcome to Tacoma Reads. Tonight we have the opportunity to hear from some incredible leaders. Author Valarie Kaur in conversation with Mayor Woodards. Quite honestly, I could not be more delighted and humbled to share the stage with such a fierce group of advocates and women who have dedicated their lives to justice and in service to those most vulnerable in our community. My name is Amy Koo. I serve as Executive Director of Tacoma Community House. Has anyone ever heard of Tacoma Community House? Tacoma Community House is a place much like the library system where we are dedicated to providing opportunities for all people to access resources, programs, and to support one another. We've empowered Tacoma for 115 years and have programs that focus specifically on immigrants and youth experiencing housing insecurity. And so as you are all inspired by today's event, I invite you to visit our table in the back, to sign up and volunteer, and to think about what's your next push, what's your next step on the fight for justice. Tacoma Community House is so proud to partner with the City of Tacoma and with Tacoma Public Library on the Year of Belonging, a community-wide initiative focused on connection, understanding, and collective growth. I cannot imagine anything more important right now than our ability to come together. So please follow us on social media, check out our table, and get involved so you can be part of the Year of Belonging. Tonight's event carries that message of belonging and community connection as we focus on Valarie Kaur's powerful memoir, See No Stranger. And now it is my honor to introduce Tacoma Public Library Director, Amitha Lonial. Amitha is 100% dedicated and invested in our community, and I am so grateful for her leadership during this particular challenging time. She is a proud champion of racial justice, of equity, and intellectual freedom. Before coming to library work, Amitha spent nearly a decade in the nonprofit sector working with grassroots groups engaged in community organizing and advocacy for racial and economic justice. Amitha, I just want to thank you for all the ways that you lead in our community and how you uplift and create space for learning, growth, and connection. Thank you so much for creating today's event.
Oh, thank you so much for those words of welcome, Amy. To share the stage with you is a real privilege. I'm so grateful for your leadership in the Year of Belonging, and we're so proud to partner with Tacoma Community House and the City of Tacoma on programs like Tacoma Creates that create belonging through encouraging dialogue, connection, and understanding. When we listen to each other's stories, we are no longer strangers. So I don't want to be a stranger to you. So hi, everyone. My name is Amitha Lonial. I use she, her pronouns. I'm your library director at the Tacoma Public Library. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Thank you to our partners at the City of Tacoma, our fantastic hosts, Tacoma Arts Live, our booksellers from King's Books, our library board of trustees, the Tacoma Public Library Foundation, and everyone who is here tonight. I want to start by honoring and acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Puyallup people. The Puyallup people have lived on and stewarded these lands since the beginning of time and continue to do so today. We recognize this land acknowledgement is one small step toward true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of Indigenous people of this land and beyond. So, We are gathered here tonight to have what I think will be an invigorating conversation about community and belonging. And with that spirit in mind, I have a quick activity for the group. So if we could have the lights come up just for a moment. What I would like everyone to do is to turn to your neighbor and introduce yourself and share with them how will you be brave in your life? So just take a minute or two. Big question, short time, you got this. Great job, everyone. Are we ready to come back together? I just have to say, I loved the shock at the question, and then everyone just lit up, and you all would have kept going if we didn't turn the lights back down. So, anyways, thank you for trying that with me. I've never done that with a group this large, but something I learned from reading and following Valarie's work is that moments of connection are what unite us and build powerful and more resilient communities. With just a simple conversation, we can begin to practice what it means to see no stranger and to view others as part of ourselves. Tonight is a special night for so many reasons. I'm truly inspired to be here with you, my community, my city, a place so committed to justice and belonging. And I'm also not gonna lie, Valarie coming here is kind of a dream come true for me. For those newer to her work, but it sounds like we have some other fans in the audience, Valarie Kaur is a renowned civil rights leader, a lawyer, a filmmaker, and founder of the Revolutionary Love Project. Her work has inspired movements for justice across our country. And like Valarie, I was raised in a Sikh household. And like her, the events of 9/11 shaped my youth and my personal trajectory. In libraries, we talk about stories and books as being windows and mirrors, opportunities to glimpse lives different than our own, or to see our experience reflected back to us. Growing up, I didn't see my stories that looked like mine, so finding Valarie's story was validating beyond measure. But more importantly, Valarie's message of love is action belongs to all of us and feels so necessary for where we are right now. We are living in times that are requiring us to act and move boldly and courageously. How can we tune those movements up to the frequency of revolutionary love that is indeed the call of our times? Tonight is also deeply special because we're joined by the one and only Mayor Victoria Woodards, whose leadership, advocacy, and deep love of Tacoma has forever shaped our community. And tonight marks Mayor Woodards' final Tacoma Reads event. And I am so immensely grateful for her partnership over the years and the support she's given to Tacoma Reads and to our libraries. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Valarie Kaur and Mayor Victoria Woodards.
I'm going to ask the question anyway. It won't surprise any of you. How many of you are excited to have Valarie in our midst this evening? You saw us walk up on stage, and I was holding Valarie. I took her arm, and I wanted to escort her up to the stage. It wasn't because I think she needed help up the stairs. It's because when I met her at the door, maybe 2 hours ago, I didn't meet a stranger. I met a friend. And a sister, thank you. And I met someone whose book not only was a great read for Tacoma, but personally touched me. Those of you who know me know, and I get criticized sometimes, that I lead with love. And sometimes that's not always appreciated, right? It's like, well, just make the decisions. No, it really is about thinking about everybody with love in mind. And sometimes it's not the most welcome thing in politics, but I think it's the most needed thing in politics. And so I'm so excited to have chosen this to be my last Tacoma Reads book. Because I think the message and the challenge that Valarie has given to us all is not just to love for love's sake, but to love and do the work. But do the work in love. And so I'm so excited about this conversation. I'm so excited to have her here. And before I get right to talking to Valarie, and you all, I know there's several hundred of you in the room tonight. Excuse me and Valarie, because it feels like only Valarie and I are here, and that's the kind of conversation we're gonna have. Like, you all are gonna have a glimpse into my living room if I had Valarie over on a Thursday evening for coffee, and we were just chatting. They had our chairs apart from one another, and we were like, we're too far apart. We need to be close to one another. And so that's what you're gonna get a preview into this evening. There's also gonna be an opportunity at the end for you all to ask questions. So prepare your own questions as you're thinking about it. But I do just wanna take a quick moment to thank two incredible leaders. First, Amy from Tacoma Community House. Amy, where are you? I see you right over there. Let's show Amy some love. When Amy brought this idea about the year of belonging and how we could do that in Tacoma, it seemed so timely, but then unfortunately so incredibly necessary. People should just feel like they belong, and even though we should be active in helping people feel that way, we live in a much different world today than we did a year ago when Amy and I first started talking about this. So this movement about being a community that makes sure that everybody who lives here feels like they belong here is so incredibly important. So Amy, I want to thank you for your leadership, not just for helping us launch this, but for what you do every single day for members of our community. So please give Amy another round of applause. And then I couldn't move on without talking about our new library director. You know, you post a job and you think about, someone says they're gonna leave, and you think about, God, how am I gonna fill that person's shoes? And we didn't even have to do a national search. Matter of fact, we could have done a national search, and I'm sure we still would have made the same decision, because there is nobody better to lead Tacoma's libraries than Amitha. Because she doesn't only just understand the power of books, she understands the power of communities and what libraries bring to communities. She's brought mental health workers into the library. You can go to a library and get Narcan. Like, she understands the real reason that libraries exist, and that is to build community. And it happens with books, but it also happens in place. So Amitha, I'm so grateful for you and your entire team. I have to say my good friend's name here on the end, who you all know my memory just went right out of my head, Marisa. Who's been with me for all of these years of Tacoma Reads. So I want to also thank you for being my partner. Okay, Councilmember Walker, I only see you. If there are any more of my partners, elected officials, I thank all of you for being here, but I want to thank Councilmember Walker for being in the front row. Thank you to all the staff who made this happen. And now, you guys are done hearing me talk because I want to hear from my new sister. So, welcome to Tacoma, Valarie. Come on, we can show her some more Tacoma love.
I'm so deeply moved to be here with you tonight. Thank you, Tacoma, for such an extraordinary welcome. Do you know this is my first time in your city? This is my first day in your city.
Now it won't be her last.
I called my husband. I was like, we have to bring the children. We have to. Your city is beautiful. Your city is so beautiful. I had the opportunity to take a walk through your downtown. I saw the mountain and its majesty on the horizon, and the waters of the marina, the trees, the trolley, the glass sculptures, the museum, and then I turned and I was greeted by a welcome figure with arms outstretched, and next to it, a plaza celebrating Black lives, and then next to it, a tribute to the Chinese Americans who were once expelled from the city. I mean, your city knows how to tell the truth about its past in order to hold up a vision of what the world could be. And Mayor, I needed that. The last few days, I've been digesting so many images of authoritarian violence, and I needed to feel in my body what it felt like to be in a physical space that celebrated beauty and belonging and dignity. And then to meet you, you show us what the love ethic looks like in public leadership, in your being, in your breath, in your actions, the way that you have fought for young people and families and unhoused people and immigrants and refugees in this city, the way that you have led this initiative around Compassionate Tacoma to celebrate acts of love and solidarity. I mean, I know you call yourself, I'm just a little Black girl from Tacoma, right? But you have now inspired, I just want to say this on your way out, that your legacy is that you've inspired a whole generation of little Black girls from Tacoma and all the rest of us to see what it looks like to lead with love. And that perhaps, I believe, is your greatest legacy, and I am so grateful to you for it.
I often say, and you're going to get to meet some of them after this, because she is going to be signing books after this, is that we have beautiful waterfront, gorgeous downtown, great neighborhoods, right? You could see the mountain. We boast an over 90% graduation rate. 90% of our kids, because of this community, graduate. We have universities, but I'm going to tell you the truth. All that is wonderful, but what makes Tacoma what it is, and you all know I say this all the time, and I mean it, is all of these people. It is the people who choose to call this place home that makes Tacoma what it is. And I'm so grateful for every one of you. Now, before I really start crying, I'm asking the first question. So, you've written this book, and it is your personal story, but it also is very inspiring to others. See no stranger. I just want to start with, you could have written a lot of books on a lot of subjects, given all the things that you embody. Why this book? And what made you want to tell that story? What came to you and said, I've got to put this on paper and other people have to understand this?
You write the book that saves your own life. I grew up on the farmlands of California, where my family has lived and farmed for more than 100 years. And I grew up with stories of what our elders and our ancestors fought for. And I had this vision of America being a country of linear progress, that the hardest fights were behind us. That story began to break in the wake of the terrorist attacks on September 11th and the enormous racial terror that was unleashed across our city streets. Households like Amita's and mine found our family members on the forefront of so much of that violence. And when Balbir Uncle was killed, Balbir Singh Sodhi, the first person killed in a hate crime after 9/11, a Sikh American with a turban and beard, who I saw as an uncle, but the country saw as a terrorist. When he was killed, that galvanized me and a whole generation of us to become advocates, artists. I grabbed my camera and began this journey of documenting the violence, believing that if we just told the story of our suffering, then the country would stop trying to kill us, and learned very quickly that the only way that my community could live free in this country is if we fought for Black lives and Indigenous sovereignty and the belonging for every single community still longing to be free. And so I became a lawyer and filmmaker and artist, and I just created I created a very robust toolkit, And I thought, this is how we fight. And I still had that vision. I was clinging to that story of linear progress. And then I became a mama. My son was born at the onset of the 2016 election season, and hate crimes began to skyrocket, exceeding what we saw in the aftermath of 9/11. And I thought, I'm raising my children in a country more dangerous for them than it was for me. Like, what was it all for? And Mayor, I had Victoria.
I told her the story. I like to hear my own name every now and then. My real name is Victoria, not Mayor.
If it's just you and me here.
It's just you and me.
Yeah, I had a breakdown. I opened up my toolkit and I couldn't pull anything out. And I think my story could have ended differently. There's so many women of color who are activists, who take their lives or let their lives be taken. And I was so lucky that I had a husband and a mother who said, "Oh, my love, you are brave." And I was given a gift that very few people get. Chris Jackson of One World, who publishes Ta-Nehisi Coates and Ibram Kendi, and he saw my manuscript that I had been trying to write this book year after year. 16 years I'd been trying to write this book, and it lands on his desk. And he looks at it and says, "Revolutionary love is a cultural intervention," and he gave me enough of an advance, like this much, but enough to step away from the front lines and to breathe for the first time in my life. I moved my family to the rainforest for a year. And you know, like being in the rainforest is like being in the womb of the earth. It is warm and safe and generative, and it was the deepest breath I'd ever taken. And I began to look back on all the movements I had been part of and my studies in divinity and law and our ancestors' wisdom to look for the answer. What is the answer? And I began to see that the only way through history, time again, that people have survived apocalyptic times is that they have embraced love in the darkness. Love for themselves, love for others, refusing to even let their opponents make them hate them. I mean, that kind of love is revolutionary.
That is absolutely revolutionary. It's hard to love those who hate you.
And that's how I began writing this book. And as I wrote, I realized as I wrote that I was giving myself the medicine, really giving myself the compass to be able to come back to the United States and keep going. I had no idea how much harder the labor would get, how much darker the country would be, but now more than ever, I believe that revolutionary love is the call of our times.
There's something about that word revolutionary, right? It's not just love. Revolutionary feels like a fight. It feels, it's like, it's our opportunity, and it's up to us. Like, it doesn't have to be a whole group of us, that we can own it ourselves, and we can own it in ourselves. So you talked a lot about the several hats that you've worn. Lawyer, filmmaker, activist, author, spiritual leader, wife, mother, and the list could go on, right? And earlier tonight, we asked strangers in the room to introduce themselves. So when I think about the title of the book, Meet No Stranger. See no stranger. Sorry, I'm changing the whole. See no stranger, meet no stranger. No one is a stranger. How do you introduce yourself in these days with all of those titles? If you've been one of the people out here introducing yourself to someone, how would you have introduced yourself?
That question has stumped my husband for years. He's like, I don't know, just look her up. It depends on who I'm introducing myself to. When I meet a mother, the mama in me comes to the surface and meets you. You know, when I meet an activist, it's the activist in me. When I meet the artist in me. We are multiple. All of us are multiple, and I have learned that balance has never been a useful goal for me. And it's also kind of impossible.
I'm sorry, how many of you out there feel the very same way? I thought there are a lot of us who struggle with that.
I mean, I really learned that after, like, mama with small children. Like, there is no balance. What has been more useful for me is to think, can I make all these parts of me harmonize? You know, at any given moment, there's one note that's going to be strong and loud. I'm meeting you, like the leader in me is meeting the leader in you, and so that note is loud. But when I get on that plane, go back home and walk through those front doors, it's the mama in me that's going to be embracing my 6-year-old as she jumps into my arms. And so I invite you not to banish or suppress any parts of you. You just ask, like, what does it mean to let my life sing right now? And what is the song I want to be singing? And I have chosen every day to sing a song of revolutionary love.
I'm like, if y'all weren't gonna clap, I was. So, and it's funny how you use the word song. I didn't read the book. How many of you listened to the book? Yeah, right. Those of you who read the book, I invite you to go back and listen to the book, because then you actually get to hear her sing. So, right, how many of you got to hear her sing in it, right? That was so incredibly meaningful. And so using the word song, one of the first time, you may have sang early in the book, the first time I heard you sing in the book is when you were with your grandfather. And you sang his prayer with him. And so, speaking of a grandfather, I didn't grow up with a grandfather with that figure, but I would say the man that I call my father, who I showed you earlier. Those of you know I know Harold Moss is in my heart. That is my dad. That is the man, if he didn't give birth to me physically, he gave birth to everything inside of me that lives now. And in your book, you talk a lot about what you got from your grandfather. And even in his passing, what you gained from him, even in those last moments. And even though he didn't agree with all of your choices, there was still this love. Talk a little bit about your grandfather and his influence on who you are now.
I miss him every day. I was just singing that song, Prayer in the Green Room. I sing it every time I'm about to try to do something brave, tell the truth, show up. My dear, do not abandon your post.
That's your grandfather.
That's Papaji. My dear, I come home from a racial slur. I was 6 years old. Get up, you black dog. That was the racial slur. And I come home crying, and my grandfather just, dries my tears. My dear, do not abandon your post. I mean,
at 6 years old?
I'm a little girl with 2 long braids who likes to ride tractors and talk to the stars. But my grandfather saw me as a warrior, and so as much as that little black boy, that little white boy, wanted to project into me my inferiority, that I wasn't worthy of even being seen as human. And I think, that was probably the beginning of the little critic in my head. I read about that. And See No Stranger, like the voice that says, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not strong enough, you're not enough, you're not enough, you're not enough. You know that voice? I think we all, right? We all know that voice. I think that voice is particularly strong in those of us in bodies that are denigrated in this culture, and they call it internalized oppression, but what it sounds like is that voice of fear oppressing yourself from within yourself, you know. And I was so lucky that I had my grandfather who could surface a different voice in me, who said, "Oh, my love, oh, my dear, you are brave enough. You are a Sant Sipahi." I mean, going to sleep at night, these are the stories I tell in this book, Sage Warrior. Going to sleep at night, he would tell me stories of our ancestors, the mystics and the poets, the sages and the warriors who survived apocalyptic times, authoritarian regimes, by facing the hot winds of the world with the eyes of a sage and the heart of a warrior. I mean, our ancestors showed us what mysticism meeting revolutionary social change looked like. That's my heritage. And he was like, you belong to that lineage. And I do believe that no matter who we are, if all of humanity is kin, then you can, with integrity, pull from any ancestors who inspire you to be brave with your life. We are Sant Sipahi, he taught me. My dear, do not abandon your post. And I have to tell you, Victoria, these days, I hear his voice every day because it has never been harder.
As a leader in these times, and as I think about, I didn't look at my phone before I came out to know how many days are left, but I think about December 31st coming for me and it being my last day. And I think when I initially started the countdown, I was like, phew, I've got through all 8 years. I've done the best I can do. I'm coming to the end. And now I don't even like to look at it because it's coming to the end. And
a new beginning.
That very true. And we're going to talk about that even with you. But it is this feeling of what is next and how do I continue in this work. But in this moment, I think I was happy to start celebrating, not because I didn't love working for all these incredible people, but because times are so dark and it is so hard. And as much as we try and we do our part, what's happening in America right now to our people is hard. And as a leader, it's even harder because there are so many things that are out of our control that we cannot change, or unfortunately that we cannot fix in the amount of time that it needs to be fixed. I think you being the champion that you are, and you know that this work is not, it doesn't happen overnight. The change doesn't happen overnight. We've got to continue to keep showing up. You don't get to be an activist for a week and fix everything. But the thing is that you have to keep showing up and you have to keep doing the work. And so in my mind, it's incredibly painful. And so for someone like you, like I'm on the front lines in Tacoma. You're on the front lines, not just across this state or the United States. You're on the front lines across this world. And so as we think about the book, what feeds you? What in those moments like me when I go, okay, December 31st is it, but it's not it. But it will be a moment for me to breathe and then figure out how to fight, how to continue to fight. But you keep going. You had that breakdown moment and you've got up, and now you're continuing to fight. What does that for you? I know it's your grandfather. I know it's all of these people who've sown into you, but what speaks to your soul in that moment that says, keep going?
The future is dark. Is this the darkness of the tomb or the darkness of the womb? What if our America is not dead, but a country still waiting to be born? What if the story of America was never one of linear progress, but instead a long labor, a series of expansions and contractions, and yes, we are in a painful contraction right now, but just as those ancestors who labored before us and never got to live to see the freedoms we have now? What if our task is to show up because it is our turn in the cycle? What if all of those ancestors, my grandfather, your elders and ancestors, are standing behind us now, whispering in our ear, you are brave, you are brave? What if this is our greatest transition? In birthing labor, transition is the most painful and dangerous stage in labor. It feels like dying, but it precedes the birth of the new. And in transition, we need to reach for the hands of others in the dark who make us brave. You don't give birth alone, you don't go to battle alone. You need your beloveds to hold your hand. And so, who is helping you breathe and push right now? Who are you helping breathe and push right now? Because here's the thing, I want to live long enough to see the America that is waiting to be born, the multiracial democracy where you see my child as yours and I see yours as mine. I want to live to see a planet where human beings know how to live sustainably with the earth as mother and each other, and we may not. We probably won't. We don't know how many turns through the cycle it's going to take to birth the new, but I know with the voice that I have, the time I have, the body that I have, the hands that I have, I want to do my best to show up in the labor that is mine to do. And that is my invitation to each of you. I believe we are called to be braver with our lives than ever before. And every single role matters. Teacher, parents, student, elder, artist, activist, you have a sphere of influence that is yours. You have a role that only you can play. They are so clear. Our opponents are so clear about their vision of the world.
Not hiding it from absolutely anybody. It's not a secret.
And so what does it mean for us to do more than resist? We need to resist. We need to weave threads of care and protection around each other to survive this time. But what does it mean for us to practice the world we want in the space between us? What does it mean for us to articulate and live into a dream of what the world could be, like I experienced on that walk in your city this morning? Our dream is more powerful than their nightmare.
That our dream is more powerful than their nightmare. And I love the way that you just spoke to this community, because I think too often in the dark, we think it only is a nightmare and don't realize that it's our opportunity to dream. And when you use the expression about whether or not we're in the tomb or whether or not we're in the womb, I think so often for some of us, and I'll include myself, the voice in my head says we're in the tomb, like this is it. But what you said gives us hope to believe that this is the beginning, which means we get to start anew. We get to birth something new. And I think that challenges each one of us. So as we think about birthing something new, and I think about all of the things that you've done, but even all of what you've done is not the end for you. You're going to continue as the leader that you are to birth new things and to birth new ideas, just like you have with this idea of revolutionary love. And so as we think about that revolutionary love, because you talk about it in so many ways, and some of us don't have all of those ways. Some of us are not quite there with that revolutionary love. We may have it for others, but not for ourselves. We may have it for ourselves, but definitely it's hard to have it for your opponents. But you've done such an incredible job. I watched a video today of you in a crowd. And those of you who know me know I also, unless I write it down, can't remember everything someone says. So I'm going to paraphrase it, right? But it really was this thing about you can come at us. You can throw tear gas on us. You can, I can't even remember all of the things she said, but I think for me the moment was, but even when you're doing that, and while with one hand I may be doing something else, with the other hand, you can't make me hate you. That's what you said. You can't make me hate you. But in the midst of all of that, while I'm protecting myself or doing what I ever need to do with one hand will always be reaching out to let you know that I am still here. And so of those three loves, I know which is the hardest for me. It's not what you all think either. So I'm going to tell what's the hardest is for me, and then I want you to tell the same. So I am really good at loving others. It frustrates the heck out of people that I'm also really good at loving my opponents. Like come to a council meeting and tell me that I'm the most horrible human being in the world, and what do I say when you're done? Thank you so much for sharing your comments with me. It's love for myself, which I'm hoping to learn and continue to grow from. Of those three, what was the hardest for you?
Right now, it has been myself. And I think my work since writing this book has been to trust the voice of the wise woman in me. Audre Lorde says we can learn how to mother ourselves every day. Wise woman here, a wise woman says, oh, my love, you are so tired. You miss your babies. That's okay. You're going to get ready. You're going to put the shoes on. You're going to be on that stage. You're going to open your heart, and you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. I mean, she's talking to me all the time. All the time. And now many, many years of this practice since my baby was born, right, is how I realized that I needed to talk to myself the ways that I talk to them as loving. And so I feel like and this is almost, hopefully it's a promise for you all who can still hear the little critic really loud in your mind. Like, how do you speak to yourself? And what do you call the wisest voice in you? And what is your practice, a journal, voice memos, to have the wisest part of you talk to yourself as you would your dearest beloved? That is my invitation, because I believe that seeing no stranger begins within. Oh, my grief. Oh, my pain. Oh, my shame. You are a part of me I do not yet know. What do you have to teach me? And what do you need from me? And so the more we can love all parts of ourselves, the more we build our capacity to love all parts of the world around us. And I think loving the hardest parts of myself has given me the ability to orient even my opponents. And I'll tell you, it is still the most challenging thing right now for me. Can I tell you a story?
Please tell us a story, please.
So I'm coming to you all from Los Angeles. And in See No Stranger, I write about sustaining an act of police brutality 20-some years ago, an injury that never healed fully. And so it was at a protest. I was very good at doing frontlines work, but keeping my body safe from the front of demonstrations, because I know how much the state can break your body. Right. I got a taste of it. Right. And then after my babies were born, I was like, well, I can't nurse you from a jail cell, so I'm going to organize and send them to the front lines, right? Then the summer came, and we began to watch our neighbors disappear. And I realized that my children no longer needed a mother who showed them how to minimize risks. They needed a mother who showed them what courage looked like when it was hard. So I found myself driving to downtown LA 48 hours after the raids began. I had the jail support number Sharpied on my arm. I had the bandana for the tear gas. I mean, I'm in my 40s now. It's been a long time since I've done these things, and I could feel myself shaking. And it was the little girl in me afraid. And that's what fear does, right? Fear contracts us. Fear says, turn back around, get small, don't do it. And here's the thing, fear is not wrong about the threat. That fear in me was it is very dangerous right now to stand up in moral courage. It is, and the fear is just wrong about the solution. The solution is not silence. The solution is more solidarity. And so as that fear contracts you, yes. So who is the one you call to take to the streets with you, right? I call my teammate. She meets me in downtown LA. It's everything that you all saw on the TV screens. It's the helicopters and the batons and the rifles and the tear gas and the cavalry. And we, as faith leaders, put our bodies between the protesters and the National Guard. We start singing the old civil rights songs, and everybody calms down. And then I get a nudge, and a rabbi is like, Valarie, you pray. I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, no, pray that way. And she has me turn around and face an army of stone-faced officers with batons. And I can feel that little girl in me start to shake again, right? I look up at that building, and I know that the federal building downtown is where they are caging our neighbors, and I know that if we sing loud enough, they can hear us. Right? The solution is not silence, it's more solidarity. They needed to hear us. So I close my eyes, and I sing my grandfather's song prayer. Do you want to hear it?
Would you please?
You have to also know that I'm not a singer.
Oh,
You said, like,
look,
you
for
have
those
to
of
know
you who
that.
heard her book, I'm wondering when her album's coming out. I'm getting ready to add singer to the list.
So imagine my grandfather is like stroking my hair as he's singing this, and I'm singing with him, right? It's that comfort, that feeling. You don't even have to know the words. You just open the doors of your heart and let in this ancient song prayer. It means, hot winds cannot touch you. Hot winds cannot touch you. You are shielded by the infinite. Tati vauna lagi, par brahm sarnai, jogid hamare ram kar, dukh lage na pai. Satgud pura petya, jin bant banai, Ram naam okh diya, eka live lai. Rakh leo tin rakhan har, sab yaar mithai. Ko nanak kirpa pe, prape sahai. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh. Hot winds cannot touch you. Hot winds cannot touch you. As my heart filled with my grandfather's shabad, I could feel that song of love flowing down through the centuries. And all the ancestors of all the people standing behind me, the ones who survived impossible times and still joined their voices to a song of love. I could feel that fill us and surround us, and I opened my eyes, and the officer was this far away from me with his baton. They had advanced their line while my eyes were closed. You know what? I wasn't shaking anymore. I wasn't afraid. I don't know how to say this, but in that moment, I felt invincible. They could arrest me, they could beat me, they could even take my life, but they could not crush me because I belong to a song of love that began long before they were born and will continue long after they die, and that song is more powerful than any amount of wealth or weapons. We came back a week later, and this time, hundreds of us came back with flowers. And this time, when I spoke, I addressed the officers, and I asked them, who do you want to be in this moment in history? What does love call you to do? How do you want the child in your life to remember you? And we laid flowers at their feet because revolutionary love is to see no stranger, to leave no one outside of our circle of care. They were our brothers too, even if they had forgotten it. And so we laid those flowers down. And the vigil ended, and I walk away, and I hear, ma'am. I turn around. Professor goes like this. He's the one with the gun, right? So I'm like, okay. And he puts out his hand and he says, thank you. And I look at his hand. What do I do? What do I do? On this very spot, you pointed your rifle at me. You held your baton over me, and now you extend your hand to me, and I had to remember my own wise woman who said, revolutionary love is to block your actions with one hand and extend the other with the hope that you will take it or your children will one day take it, for the brief high of domination is nothing compared to the infinite love and joy of true community.
She's trying to get my attention, and I am not paying her any attention.
I took his hand, and I want to say, I don't know whether that officer will stop hurting our people. But I want to be the one who believes in that possibility. That is who I want to be in this moment in history. And I think that question that Amita asked at the beginning, look, the front line is not just in the streets or in the courts. The front line is anywhere where you can dare to be brave with your life. It's your classrooms, it's your boardrooms, it's your neighborhoods, it's your parks, it's your kitchen table. What is your front line? What does it look like for you to come to your front line with flowers?
So often here in Tacoma, we talk a lot about it. I know I say it a lot. Like, it's great that you have a mayor and 8 council members, but we can't do this alone. It's great that there are over 3,000 employees who work for the city of Tacoma, but we can't do it alone. That each of us owns a part of making this community better. And what you just said, and especially in your book, you remind all of us about that part in us. And you've reminded us tonight, but I don't want to leave this without having you read a passage from the book. And I picked 2 passages. And I'm going to have you read this one because in these moments that we live in where it sometimes feels like there's so little hope and we feel stuck and we feel like we can't fix it, we can't change it. In this part, you remind us of the greatness in all of us. So would you mind reading this?
I had forgotten the stars, burning so strong and long that their light reaches us long after they have died. Isn't that what our lives and our activism should look like? Not the supernova, a single outburst under pressure. We must be the long burning star, bright and steady, contained and sustained, for our energy to reach the next generation, long after we die. Oh, and to be part of constellations. Let us see ourselves as part of a larger picture, even if we are like the 2nd star on Orion's belt or the 7th of the 7 sisters, for there is no greater gift than to be part of a movement larger than ourselves. That means that we only need to be responsible for our small patch of sky, our specific area of influence. We only need to shine our particular point of light long and steady to become part of stories sown into the heavens.
I have 20 more questions. I don't know about you all, but I don't have a meeting until tomorrow morning at 9. I'll stay if you will. But I want to give all of you an opportunity to ask your questions. And I think, are we letting people actually ask their questions, or are we asking people to write down their questions? Oh, we've already got questions. We only have one whole question. Well, that's great. I can just ask the rest of my, oh, there we go. If you've got your questions, all right, here, now I was going to say, really, you're going to give it back to me because I've got a lot of other things I want to talk about in the book. So we've got questions coming forward. Are we giving those? You're going to give those to me. Thank you. Okay, and if you still have time to write them down. So if you've got questions that haven't been asked, just raise up your hand and everybody will still take your questions. So, I'm going to start. I didn't get a chance to look at them all and see which ones are duplicates, so I'm just going to start with this one because we haven't asked this one. Why does hate spread faster than love?
Oh, it's so much easier.
Okay, next question.
Remember our definition of love? First of all, okay, our culture makes us feel naive or unserious about power for believing in love as a force, right? Love is sentimental, anemic. Love is a feeling that comes and goes, ebbs and flows. No. Our wisest ancestors, all the spiritual teachers of history, all the indigenous healers, all the social reformers, they called us to reclaim love as a force for healing, justice, transformation. So our definition is love is sweet labor. Fierce, bloody, imperfect, life-giving, a choice we make again and again. And when we choose to love beyond what evolution requires, right, when we choose to love those who are in harm's way, when we choose to love parts of ourselves that are hard to love, when we choose to love even our opponents, that is when love becomes revolutionary. Our wisest ancestors called us to surface the best of who we could be as human beings. We've heard this call to love for millennia, and now our very future as a democracy, as a species, depends on whether we can put the love ethic into practice. And because it's hard, we need to practice together with each other. And so that's why, Mayor, we've been on a tour all across this country. Yeah. Since last fall, I've been in a different city every week, gathering hundreds of people, 500, 600. You all were not alone. This is what I wish to tell you. The majority of us oppose authoritarianism. We are the majority. We must act like the majority. And that means building communities that are so anchored in love, so activated by our joy, that the cruelty that drives authoritarianism cannot take root. That is what you are doing here in Tacoma. You are gathering in the darkest of times, to stand in your shared humanity and stand in your love. And so I want you to know that you are part of a movement. There are thousands of people, millions of people in this country who are with you. This movement of revolutionary love, this is not a 4-year campaign. It is a 40-year vision to shift culture and consciousness in this country. You are the revolution. We are the revolution. Welcome to the revolution.
Wait till next Tuesday at the council meeting. There are so many good questions here. Okay, so I'm gonna pick this one because I think it's really important. What if loving the stranger of one or two violent, narcissistic world leaders is not something I want to do?
Don't.
I'm just, and that's because I think the person said is not that I want to do. I think I feel like, and I'm taking your question. You didn't leave your name on here, but I want to, because the second part of your question, Willie, is about the capacity of one. And that is, what if it's not something I want to do, as I am too busy loving their millions of victims and the land they destroyed?
Very good. You all were handed a gift when you came in. It's a compass, a revolutionary love compass. And the way the compass works is that you point it to whomever you wish to practice loving in that moment. Because here is our intervention around love, that at any given moment in our lives, given our roles, our position, what's happening around us, there is a particular post that we are called to hold. The post was never a fixed role or position. It was, your post is where your deepest wisdom meets your words and actions. So as you look at this compass, you can ask, what is my role in this moment in history? Is my role to extend my love to others, to wonder about others, to grieve with others, to fight for others? And there are so many communities who need you right now in that labor. Is it my role in this moment to orient to those opponents that many of us cannot? And that orientation is called tend the wound. Because here's the thing, I've sat with people who've done monstrous things, and as much as I want to hate them, and sometimes I do, when I choose to hear their story and wonder even about them, I see their wound and they lose their power over me. There are no such thing as monsters in this world. There are only human beings who are wounded, who act out of their fear, insecurity, greed, rage. That does not make them any less dangerous. But when we see their wound, we become free, so we're not reacting endlessly, shaking from our trauma, right? We can just sit in our deepest wisdom and decide how we respond from a place of love. That might be tending to rage, tending to grief, and not orienting to them. And if that's your role, we need you now. Right? If you have a knee on your neck, it is not your role to look up at your oppressor or try to wonder about them or love them. Your role is to stay alive, to take the next breath. But if you are someone who is safe enough or brave enough, by virtue of your privilege or your position, to wonder even about those opponents, then we need you now in that labor. To listen to them, to engage them. That's right. Because they are being seduced right now by a story of belonging. What does it mean for us to hold up a story that they can see themselves in? Every time I sit with white nationalists, it's very hard. And when I hear their story, I say, oh, so much of white nationalist rage is a symptom of unresolved grief. They're grieving the illusion that this nation ever belonged just to them in the first place. It's not my role to fix that grief, right? But someone has to tend to it. And I know because of the position I have as a leader, I have to hold up a vision of an America that they can see themselves into. Because all the people who are voted for this reality, they're still going to be here in 4 years, in 8 years. Like, we have to find a way to live together, to transition together, and we might not bring everyone across that line. But if enough of us are part of this ecosystem where we are operating with love and belonging and dignity above all, then we have a fighting chance. So you can ask yourself, what is my role? What is my role at any given moment? And of course, you turn that compass to face yourself, right? That's the feminist intervention. The midwife who says, breathe and push. How are you breathing every day? Are you breathing with the mountain and the trees and the trolley and the stars, right? And what is your push? And how are you letting joy in? I used to feel so guilty about letting in joy. I was always comparing my suffering to the people I was serving. And so, of course, that little critic is loud, right? You're not worthy enough, right? And it was a wise woman in me who was like, oh, my love, you are worthy of joy. In the Sikh tradition, it's called Chardhikala, ever-rising joy, even in darkness, ever-rising spirits. You know, we've been saying in our movements, like, joy is resistance, but it goes much deeper than that. In the last year, I've been traveling to other countries to learn how they confront and survive authoritarian regimes. I've sat with Mayan elders, women elders in Guatemala who survived that genocide of their peoples. I've sat with Candomblé elders, black women elders in Brazil, surviving enslavement and insisting on liberation. I've sat in South Africa where they dismantled apartheid and are still finding ways to become more and more free. And every time I hear this horrific story, and everyone's crying, right? Someone's disappeared, someone's tortured, someone's murdered. I literally was standing over skeletons of children, the age of my children, in Guatemala, and I could feel myself falling into the abyss, and it was the Mayan woman elder who studied me. Every time after the story of atrocity, after facing it, you know what would happen? They would pull out their drums, and they would start to sing, and then they would start to dance, and then they would pull us and have us dance with them. And I thought, joy is a way to cultivate in yourself the freedom that the world is not giving you. We are already free. We are already free. The world is in crisis, but our bodies don't have to be in crisis all of the time. What does it mean to protect joy every day, to experience in our body, in our breath, the freedom that one day we want for the whole world? I think that is why every night I dance with my children.
You know, some people feel guilty to think about joy in moments like this. And you think, or some will look at you and go, what is there to be happy about? How do you find that joy? But I think what I hear from you and your message to all of us is that you have to find that joy in order to continue. That woman who steadied you, they danced with you to remind you that even in the worst of situations, there's still some joy. The fact that you get to live and you still get to wake up every morning and you get to be here and you get to live to, I say fight, you know, that we say live to fight another day, but you get to live, you get the opportunity to love. And the opportunity of love shouldn't be a burden. It shouldn't feel like the thing you have to do. If it's revolutionary love, not saying that it's easy, but if you always lead with that, I think it becomes easier. Not that there aren't challenging moments, but when you exercise that revolutionary love muscle, right, when it's what you use all the time, then it becomes easier to put that forward. You're looking into this room, and we've got. Well, you said I have one more question from everybody before I ask my final question. I wish y'all could see her face right now. Harold Moss, who I called my father, he told me one thing. She or he who has the mic is in charge. This is my last time. I don't have to worry about working with Marisa next year. She can be mad at me. I say that with my revolutionary love for you. But it is that thing that lies, that each one of us can tap into. So I'm sorry, I want to get to my last question, but you all, I want to get one more of your questions. You know, there's a question I've been holding on to. What do you believe is the role of faith leaders? Faith leaders. So what's the role of faith leaders today? What is their role in all of this?
I believe our faith traditions are like treasure chests. We can open them and choose what we hold up high. And the truth is, every tradition has jagged stones that one can hold up to divide the world into us and them, and justify all kinds of destruction and hierarchies of human value and atrocities. Haven't we seen that replay again and again and again and again? And inside of those same treasure chests are diamonds that we can choose, maybe buried deeper inside, that we can choose to pull up, that call for love above all. Every wisdom tradition has a mystical heart beating at the center of it. A mystical heart that knew that there is no me and you, us and them, that all separateness is an illusion. Ik Onkar, sang Guru Nanak, oneness ever unfolding. We can look upon the face of anyone or anything and say, you are a part of me I do not yet know. That is a spiritual truth, but it's also a biological fact, a cosmological fact. We are part of one another. And all of our modern day declarations of human rights is rooted in this understanding, this recognition of our shared humanity, of our interbeing above all. And so I believe that it is a task of faith leaders to hold up those diamonds, the songs and the stories and the scriptures that call us to that love. But you know what? No matter who you are or what tradition you come from, love is our birthright as human beings. We come into the world thirsting for love. We land on our mama's body, and it does not matter what color she is, what position she holds, what status she has, right? We are thirsting for love, for her milk. There is a recovering of what we were all born knowing, that we belong to one another. And so the labor, in many ways, is a labor of reclaiming our birthright and then letting that lead who we are, what we do, how we gather, how we show up in this time. And so, yes, I believe that when we're leading with love, the heart is like a muscle. The stronger it becomes, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes, right? The fear contracts, but you choose courage, you love more bravely. And when we do that, then your life becomes a series of experiments with revolutionary love. I've come to understand, for me, that living a life where I'm laboring in love for the future I dream is the greatest meaning of life.
I'm going to try to wrap up several questions into one so that I don't get in too much trouble. Someone wrote, and I think this kind of gets to my last question. Someone wrote the book was great for 2022, 2023. And you talked about even when you had your moment where you broke down and then came back. And how it's even tougher now. And I would say it's tougher today than it may have been. It's way tougher today than it was a year ago. It's tougher today than it was a week ago. And there doesn't seem to be an end in sight for how difficult it is or is going to get. How do we take the lessons that you gave us then? You've talked a lot about it tonight and apply it to how we live today. But in that question, I want to add to it. Because if we think about how difficult it is today, it means that obviously, as you said this evening, there's more work to be done. That if we thought we worked hard before, we thought it was difficult before, it gets even more difficult, but we cannot quit. We cannot give up. It is our birthright, as you told us. In this time when we feel so divided, how can we build hope? What is something each one of us can individually do, but in the end, take that individualism and practice this revolutionary love together?
Are you okay if I end with a battle cry?
We can stand up if you want to. I'm ready.
I want us to be absolutely sober and clear-eyed about what's happening in the country right now. Tell the truth about what's happening. And so when we are seeing resources for food and education drained to build a force of masked men with a budget that exceeds the budget of most militaries on Earth. When those masked men are dispatched to Los Angeles first, and I see 3,000 of my neighbors abducted and disappeared in broad daylight. When those immigrants are being disappeared on city streets and at courtroom hearings based on the color of their skin, the language they speak, or the job they are performing, and this administration says, yes, they are using racial profiling to do so, and the highest court of the land simply allows it to proceed. We are witnessing the greatest assault on immigrants in our lifetime and the collapse of any meaningful checks on executive power. When our protests, overwhelmingly nonviolent, from here to Chicago, from Los Angeles to Chicago to Portland, when our protests are being met with astonishing military force. In Los Angeles, the National Guard, the Marines sent over the objection of our city's mayor and our state governor for the first time in history. And I saw my fellow protesters beaten, maimed, trampled by cavalry. And this president has the audacity to address his generals and tell them that we should use these cities as training grounds for our military, directing our soldiers to turn their rifles on their own citizens. And what do all of these cities have in common? The majority of the people in these cities oppose this president.
And their leaders of color.
And they're black leaders. Memphis, Chicago, Los Angeles, right? Boston. At the same time, when we are seeing the stories and struggles of black people and indigenous people and white allies who struggled to make this country a democracy in the first place, our stories being erased from museums and history books and national parks, the voices of trans and queer people disappeared from public life, the sovereignty of our bodies as women, our ability to decide when, whether, and how to make our own families, when all of that has been disappeared by a stroke of the pen, we see that these assaults all add up to a vision of a future where only a certain class of white men hold political, economic, and cultural dominion. When all this is happening, as climate change is drowning our cities, incinerating our cities, I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, and the earth keeps getting hotter and hotter, and all of the protections that we had put into place to save the future of humanity are being dismantled, all in order for a coalition of wealthy people to continue to enrich themselves and enrich themselves and enrich themselves at our expense. When a horrific act of political violence is being used to wage a campaign of mighty vengeance against all of us who oppose the agenda of this regime, attacking our nonprofits, our foundations, putting our names and faces on target lists and distributing them, when all of this is happening all at the same time, we must tell the truth. That if any of this was happening in any other part of the world, we would call it an authoritarian takeover. Authoritarianism is a system of rule that suppresses political freedoms and civil rights in order to concentrate power in the hands of a single leader or an elect few. Through most of human history, we've seen authoritarians take power by force, right? That's what we're used to. But in the last 30 years, authoritarians take power through elections and then subvert those very democratic norms and institutions once in power. Across time and place, authoritarians consolidate their power by waging campaigns of dehumanization, giving everyone a common enemy. That's what they're doing to immigrants. But that circle always expands to include any of us who oppose the regime's agenda. I've sat in briefing after briefing after briefing, and what the experts are telling us is that we have a window of time in which to act. This regime has captured authoritarian power with a speed and viciousness that exceeds even the experts who are preparing for this outcome, right? It is exceptional. Capture the military, capture the courts, capture the legislative, capture universities, capture business, capture tech, capture nonprofits, capture faith communities. And not all of us are yet captured. We have a window of time in which to act, and what they're telling us is that it's between now and the midterms. This is the window. The root of tyranny. You're saying, like, okay, what do we do? What do we do? This is the darkness of the tomb. This is all the darkness of the tomb. What do we do, right? What do we do? The root of tyranny is lovelessness. They are counting on us to shut down our hearts, to relinquish our humanity, to shrink into that fear, to give up, to refuse to risk ourselves for our neighbors. They are counting on our despair and our fatigue to retreat into whatever privilege we think we have. And so love, revolutionary love, the choice to see no stranger, to leave no one outside of our circle of care, means to make our bodies shields, to risk ourselves for each other, to become braver with our lives than ever before. And that means that no matter who you are, you have the ability to express the freedoms that they are trying to take away. And that resistance matters. Your words, your action matters in the space between you. When you are launching mutual aid networks, when you are creating safety plans, when you are taking care of each other's children, when you're calling on your neighbors and saying, I got your back, when you are feeding each other, when you're housing each other, when you are making art and music and poetry, when you are gathering in the dark around the call of love in a time such as this, and declaring that we can rebirth in America where all of us belong, that is the most powerful way to respond to this threat. You are it. You are doing it. Tacoma, you can be a liberation experiment. What we need is thousands of liberation experiments all across this country so that, yes, we are resisting, and there is a world on the other side of the ash where we still remember how to love. That's what you are doing. You are embodying the world to come for yourself and for your children and for the children who are not yet born. So you cannot give up. You have to remember this night. You have to remember your own power. And just as I have been asking myself, like, okay, fear is contracting me. Can I be braver than I've ever been? Can I take myself to the front lines? What is the front line you have not yet taken yourself to? And it doesn't even matter exactly where it is. The question is not what will I do, what will I do? The question is, who will I be? Who will I be? Who do I want to be in the story? Who do I want to be in this moment in history? And I promise you, if you choose love as your North Star, you will never be alone.
Valarie's words challenged each of us tonight. And for this great city that we all love so much, that if we want to not just talk about that love, but walk in that love, in order to do that, we have to see no stranger. We have to remember that our neighbor really is not just the person who lives next door, but they are our neighbor. And that each of us, each and every one of us, we can't leave it to someone else. We can't say, well, they can handle it. The question is, the challenge to us tonight, and I hope what you got out of this moment, is that we all are brave enough to handle it. That we don't need to look for that power in someone else, that it inherently belongs to all of us. Valarie has issued the warrior cry to all of us tonight. And the question to all of you is, you can sit down. I'll get that. Thank you for reminding me. I'll put my foot by it so that I don't forget to do it. But the question is to all of us, and my question to you tonight is this. And maybe it's not a question. Don't leave this room feeling great about this moment and forget the gift that you were given. It is not just something you can do. All of you in this room were deputized tonight with an obligation to do it. If you didn't feel like you have permission, well, I think Valarie gave permission to every single person in this room tonight to go out and love in a revolutionary way. I always think Tacoma is the best place, and I tell leaders, I stand in front of hundreds and hundreds of mayors, thousands of elected leaders, and I say I'm from Tacoma, Washington, the best city in the universe. And I say it because I believe in the power of each and every one of you. I'm taking an extra moment because it's going to be my last in this space, in this way. And I don't care if the camera people go home. But Valarie, I want to look you in your eye in front of this room and tell you how incredibly grateful I am. Not just because you wrote the book, because that's part of it, but a lot of people write a lot of books. But it's not just a book you wrote, it's the life that you live. And the fact that you put your body on the line, and you may have been in Los Angeles, but you put your body on the line for every single one of us in this room. So thank you so much for coming to this city and for sharing your love for all of us with us. May you take the love that I hope you felt from this incredible audience with you as you continue to do this work. And please know that there are people in Tacoma who are working in the way that you've called us to work. And when you need us to join you in that battlefield, give us a call. In the meantime, we're going to keep doing the work right here. So, I got a little gift for you. So Tacoma is known, as you talked about, you got to walk across the bridge until you saw all of the glass. We are home to the famous Dale Chihuly. And she took this deep breath like, am I going to get a piece of Dale Chihuly glass? You know, and well, I'm not even going to tell that lie. But what I do want to give you is, in my opinion, no offense to Dale Chihuly if he's watching, but what I want to share with you is a seed that Dale Chihuly sowed in this community. And he took his gift and realized how it transformed his life. And then he gave back to this community. And we have a school here in our Hilltop area that is now called Hilltop Heritage. I'm old. It was Jason Lee when I grew up, but it's Hilltop Heritage now, and it's a good name. But at that school, Dale Chihuly started what we call Hilltop Artist in Residence. Now it's just called Hilltop Artist. And these are young people who show up every day and get to learn how to blow glass. And we'll send you a link to their website and to some of their stories about how this art of blowing glass has changed their lives. but we want you to take home a piece of that tonight. I'm going to let you open that here. Yes, please. Please, please, please. So this is what they call a glass orb. Am I getting it right? It's an orb. Okay. And so young people from Tacoma blew this piece of glass. I picked blue because it's Tacoma's color, first of all. It's the color of the mountain. It's the color of the water. But then I used AI. And I said, can you tell me what Valarie's favorite color is? Now, it didn't tell me her favorite color was blue, so I was really concerned, but it said this. It said that you speak of light, you speak of fire, and it said, and you speak of the world, and represented in this dark blue. So we got you something else. And I said, there's no way I'm giving her a pumpkin. So I went there today to get this for you because I wanted you to have something that you could look at with the same beauty that we have seen you display on this stage tonight. So thank you. It says Hilltop Artist on the bottom of it. Hilltop Artist.
Because we have a gift for you. But actually, two gifts. Don't be the hero who comes to save the day. Be the lover who stays and stays. Mayor Woodards, you have been the lover who has stayed and stayed with this community. And love outlasts life itself. Your love has been planted in the soil and in the hearts of all the people of this community, and it will blossom forth on and on into such beauty that you can't even see or imagine. And all you have to do is trust it, because you have held your post. And we are so grateful to you. I have one final little gift for you, for the little girl, the little black girl from Tacoma. I have a song for you. Are you ready? It's this song. This book was actually, it began as a song, and I sing it to you as I've sung it to my 6-year-old daughter, because you have walked this path. Are you ready? You all can stand and receive it? All right, here we go. But you have to actually, you have a role, and you're all going to do this with me, right? For your mayor. Okay, here we go.
I didn't even get to talk about the fact that another one of our Tacoma Reads book is another book written by Valarie Kaur.
The children's book, World of Wonder. And now you get to hear it. Ready? Here it goes. For you. Ants on a leaf, birds in the sky, sweet little bee, trees so high. Wonder Baby says, wow, whoa, you're a part of me I don't yet know. That's your part. People walk by, faces are new, so many stories, points of view. Where have they been? What have they seen? Their stories show me everything. Wonder Baby says, wow, whoa, you're a part of me I don't yet know. Sad stories make me turn away, but I keep listening, I get brave. I speak, I dance, I march, I sing. Justice is what we can bring. Wonder Baby says, wow, wow, you're a part of me I don't yet know. And when I want to run and hide, holding tears, fire inside, it's hard to wonder about anyone else. So I wonder about myself. And then it happens like a surprise. The feelings change before my eyes. Each feeling has a special part in showing me how to love my heart. Wonder Baby says, wow, whoa, you're a part of me I don't yet know. So when I see someone being mean, I wonder, what's hiding underneath? Find what makes them behave this way. Love can make us very brave. Wonder Baby says, wow, whoa, you're a part of me I don't yet know. Stars up above, shimmering sea. The world is infinite just like me. I choose to love everything alive. What do you need to grow and thrive? Earth and people, creatures too. Marvelous me, radiant you. Wonder Baby says, wow, whoa, you're a part of me I don't yet know. I hold you tight, your smile is sweet. I hold you close, we are complete. Wonder Baby says, wow, whoa, you're a part of me I don't yet know. Congratulations, Mayor Woodards! We love you!
You all, she's going to be out there signing books, but before she steps down, let's please give one more Tacoma love clap for Valarie Kaur.